Frigidaire. It means the first electric refrigerator. The first compact electric range. Now, there's the Frigidaire Gallery Range with Symmetry double ovens. It's designed to cook multiple dishes at multiple temperatures, so you can prepare the entire meal at the same time. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Hi, I'm John Mallis. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this day. Today we're talking high-speed rail. We have the project manager from the Central Valley here working for the High-Speed Rail Authority in the studio to take your questions. 436-ME-TV, option 11. Back in just a moment. Today is an Ask the Expert day because we have an expert in the house to answer your questions about high-speed rail. That's exactly right, and I want to mention you're watching us live on Comcast, channel 187, 43.6 and 13.1. And by the way, you can watch us later today on the replay on YouTube at 2 o'clock and 8 o'clock tonight on Biz TV. And then after that, at some point, a day or two later, we'll be all over YouTube on the internet. And at some point, we may be streaming this live, but not for now. For now, we're on Comcast and 43.6 and 13.1. You already know the phone number, 436-ME-TV, option 11. And today, for the first time, we have somebody on our program representing the High-Speed Rail Authority. Now, this thing is still on track to be built. It hasn't been derailed yet. I know that Republicans are taking over in Washington, D.C. We'll see what happens when they take over. We'll see if the project still remains intact. But for the meantime, let's go to that animation. You've seen that before. This is what the high-speed rail is going to look like once it's done. It's a bullet train traveling at more than 200 miles an hour. Voters approved this thing. It's a $68 billion project back in 2008. But even now, after all these years later, not 1 foot of track is yet to be installed. That's yet to come. There have been all sorts of lawsuits. My goodness, too many to even mention. Appeals, landowners not really willing to give up their parcels for the project. There's also been much opposition from politicians, mostly on the right, conservatives like House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy of Bakersfield, and Republicans here in California, in the California legislature, also oppose it. But also a good portion of the general population believes it might be too costly. Initially it was $40 billion, then $100 billion, now it's down to $68 billion. Can the High-Speed Rail Authority be trusted with some of these numbers? We'll ask some of these questions. And what about the ridership? Who's going to ride it? How many? When's it going to be done? That's the big question I have is I want to know when this thing is going to be. Will it be in my lifetime so I can ride it from here to San Francisco or LA? We'll answer some of those questions perhaps on this program today. It's High-Speed Rail Day. Ask an expert here on Connect with Me. Live in our studio now is Terry Ogle from the High-Speed Rail Authority. He is the project manager here for the Central Valley. He's here to take your questions. We have an open phone line, 436-ME-TV, option 11. We're back with our program here on High-Speed Rail in just a moment.
Attention all units. We have reports of 2 motorcycle cops protecting California's highway.
That's for us, good buddy.
The Men of Chips are on MeTV.
Hi, I'm John Baker. I'm John Baker. It's Officer Baker.
He's the blonde one.
Hi there.
Officer Poncherello, man.
Frank Poncherello.
Oh, I'm Frank Poncherello.
And he's the one who's Eric Estrada.
There's no way I wouldn't remember a name like that.
Catch the blonde one and the one who's Eric Estrada on
Now on
Chips.
MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
Hey, the question is, what is your opinion about high-speed rail? It is a project that's in progress right now, and it was approved by the voters back in 2008. And I must say, this is, you're not really on the fence on this one. Most people either are for it or against it. It's highly controversial, but we're glad to have for the first time somebody from the High Speed Rail Authority here on the program on Connect with Me to answer some of these questions. Terry Ogle, the project manager for the Central Valley. How are you, sir?
Good.
Good to
Glad
see
to
you.
be here.
Hey, thanks for coming in. So, generally speaking, when you address the public or make these media type appearances, is the reaction negative or is it positive from your standpoint?
It varies.
Yeah.
We have negative and we have positive feedback or positive outlook out there, and so it's probably mixed.
Yeah. So the voters approved this thing back in 2008, Terry, as you know, and I guess the big question I have is that why has it taken so long? We don't even have 1 foot of track down on the ground yet. What's been the holdup, in your opinion?
Well, any major infrastructure project, once it gets the funding, once it goes through the scoping and everything like that, it has to go through the environmental process.
Yeah.
And
environmental impact reports.
Environmental impact studies, and that's both done at the federal and at the state level. We did get a little bit of a variation from the state level on the CEQA side of the house, but we still had to go through the federal side of the environmental clearance process and work through those things. And that's one of the reasons why it is taken this long. Is we had a kind of a program environmental document that looked at the entire state. We also had a project-specific environmental document once we get into the segments that we are now looking at and considering building.
Yeah. Why, in your opinion, is this project good for California? I know you're in favor of it. You work for the High Speed Rail Authority. You worked for Caltrans before, right, too?
Correct.
Okay. Why is this project good for the state of California?
Well, there's many there's many different aspects of the project that's good for California. One of the things is it initially, once we begin the project, we're going to be looking at creating jobs as we're actually building the.
Do we know how many? Is there a projected number?
What we're looking at is, let's say, what we're doing here in Fresno right now is at the peak. Once we're in construction, we're probably looking at 500 to 600 construction type jobs that will be done once we here in the Fresno area.
Are they permanent jobs?
They're going to be jobs that will just be for the construction of the project. Once we move into the Kings County, the Kern County area with the next segment of a project, that will create another 400 to 600 jobs,
permanent
construction type jobs.
Okay.
So these are just why the project is being built.
Once the project is built, what are we looking at in terms of jobs for people here?
Well, there will be an increase of jobs, and I don't have those numbers with me, but you look at the
what types
of
jobs, in other words?
The rail will have to be maintained, so there'll be a maintenance force that will be in there. There will be ticket takers, people that you see at an airport that manage the airport's operations, and TSA, people at the counter, people at vendors and things like that. So there will be similar jobs that you see at an airport. Will be at the stations that will be generated. Somewhere in the valley, they're looking at a heavy maintenance facility. And so that's where they're going to maintain the trains and make sure that they're operational, make sure that they're safe and things like that. That location hasn't been determined yet, but that will bring jobs to the Central Valley.
See, there's several parts to this, Terry. There's the building of the tracks. That's number one. That is huge. That's major. They decided not to use the existing rails in California. I'm not sure why, but I don't know if you have the answer to that. But yeah, okay. But so now they're building the new rails, and then you have to build the train. Who's building the train?
There is a proposal, a request for qualifications that's out right now. And there is about 10 to 12 bidders that are looking at building the train for us.
Here in this country or in Japan, Europe?
It's all over.
So it's
Japan,
spread out, huh?
It's spread out, yeah.
Wow. We have a call coming in. Good morning, caller. You're talking to Terry Ogle of the High Speed Rail Authority. What's your question? Caller?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. You're on the air.
This is Dorothy Hutton calling. I live at Vintage Gardens. I think high-speed rail would just be wonderful for the valley. I've lived in the valley for 11 years. I'm originally from the Monterey Peninsula, and I want to know whether the high-speed rail will go to Monterey or not.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you for the call, Dorothy, and also thank you for supporting our project. Right now, there is no plans to run the high-speed rail to the Monterey area. It will come into the Gilroy and San Jose area, and so you could travel from Monterey to the to Gilroy or San Jose and catch the high-speed rail at that location.
Okay. So, but it will also go for it supposedly when it's all said and done, and who knows when this will be done, LA to San Francisco going through the Central Valley. Is that the ultimate goal?
That's correct. That's the ultimate goal.
But here's one thing I've heard from people. Why doesn't it hit Sacramento? Why doesn't it hit San Diego? Those are all major cities too, both of them. And why doesn't it go further north maybe a little bit?
If you look at the long-range planning of the high-speed rail, those legs are included in the what we call the second phase of the high-speed rail project.
Sacramento is included?
Sacramento is included. San Diego is included in that second phase.
The second phase won't be in my lifetime, though, will it?
It probably will not be in my lifetime either. But there is a second phase to get it to Sacramento.
Yeah.
If one of the things that the high-speed rail is, we're working with a coalition of rail partners up and down the valley. And there is a move right now to bring the ACE train from Stockton down to Merced, where the high-speed rail would stop, and people would be able to move on and go on from there to Sacramento.
All right, talking to Terry Ogle. He is from the High Speed Rail Authority, the Central Valley Project Manager in charge of the project going on right here, right now. We'll ask him what's going on in the city of Fresno. I know the old Del Monte building was demolished here recently. Hey, we've got some open phone lines. If you have an opinion about high-speed rail, 436-ME-TV, option 11. Back in a moment.
This fall, there is a place, familiar and inviting, timeless and warm. MeTV, a place all your own that you can call home.
Hi, honey, I'm home.
This fall, home is where you'll find me.
You mean to tell me that's all there is to it?
That's all.
MeTV Fresno, channel 43.6 and Xfinity 187.
Back here on the program talking high-speed rail. Let's roll some of the videotape here that we got from the animation. We saw that in the monologue, but I want to roll it again because I like looking at the bullet train. That's what I like to call it. And we haven't seen anything like this, of course, on the West Coast or anywhere. We see these trains, you know, in Europe, obviously, speed up to 200 miles an hour. So again, I want to get back to the question about where some of these trains will be built. So you're saying it'll be built all over. It won't be isolated to this country, right?
We don't. The proposals are out right now.
Okay.
And once we get the proposals and look at that, we'll look at what proposer can provide us the best train, the safest train, one that has the most technology and those kind of things and variations of those. And I would suspect that whoever the proposer is that gets the trains will actually bring those trains or that manufacturing here to California, because that's where we're going to be working on them, or that's where we're going to be testing them.
Yeah, we got a phone call coming in, but we're going to continue looking at this amazing animation here, video from the High Speed Rail Authority. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, I was just wondering about the jobs that are going to be created. In the Fresno area, like, where would you go and apply for these jobs? Is it through the rail system or independent contractors? And when do you think the construction will start?
Okay, to first start talking about the jobs. Immediately there will be a need for jobs for the construction industry, and the contractor on board, which is for our CP1, is Tudor Perini, Zachary Parsons, a joint venture, and they are working with the local unions, the union halls in the Fresno area to work to get their workforce for that. And as we continue to move further down the valley, we'll be looking at, the contractors will be looking at the union halls for the labor and things like that throughout the Central Valley. One of the things that I would say is tomorrow we are having a jobs fair in the Madera, at the Madera Community College Center, which is in Madera County.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. What time does that start?
I believe it starts at
8:30 in the morning.
8:30 at Madera Community College on Avenue 12 in Madera County.
Yeah, and so what will this meeting be about tomorrow? Is it strictly a jobs fair?
It's strictly a jobs fair. What it does is it puts potential employees, potential people that are looking for work in contact with union representatives, with potential employees, puts them in contact with some of our staff as well as our contractor staff as well, so they can ask those questions about what can I do to find a job with a high-speed rail.
Okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about this meeting tomorrow, this job fair. Good morning, caller. What's your question? You're on the air.
Yes, it's not a question. It's a statement in a positive fashion for high-speed rail.
Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to add to the gentleman's general comments. Now, as far as benefits, okay, he mentioned the heavy maintenance yard. That's fine and dandy. But one of the other aspects to it is that really hasn't been talked about too much is also a light maintenance yard that will be scheduled in here, which will have more jobs with that. There is also a segment coming from Las Vegas called the Desert Eagle that will connect with Palmdale, so that the train will now have, we can dispute the argument about a train to nowhere. Now you will have a fun destination for a lot of folks to go to. Going to create jobs just darn near everywhere. There will be jobs directly on the path that will be good paying jobs for our veterans that are coming home. That's great. But anybody else will be able to deliver to the path as an independent, and so jobs are available for all folks that are out there, whether they're disabled vets or college graduates or anybody that wants to get involved into the future. As far as like down here in Kings County, for example, I'm hoping personally that they will go down in the bottoms of the old channels and clean out some of the sandbars, which will help increase and use the sandbars on their roads just so they don't have dust.
Okay.
So they don't have to use water to take care of that.
Gotcha.
And that will increase our recharge basins.
Okay. Thank you for the call. Positive call for you. And
Yes,
do you want to respond to that?
He's absolutely right that there will be a number of areas where jobs will be created. If you look at our map that we've got now, is we're partnering with what they call Express West, which is the high-speed rail that's being proposed from Palmdale to Las Vegas, and that will connect the Central Valley, the Bay Area, LA to Las Vegas, and that is definitely a destination point that would stimulate ridership to go to that area.
So let's say someone is flying into Los Angeles from New York, and they suddenly decide, or maybe they have a planned trip to Sacramento or San Francisco. They could fly, because it really is easier to fly into LA than it is San Francisco from New York. I know that because I've done both. It's a direct flight to LA, and if they want to go up to Sacramento or San Francisco, they could then hop on a bullet train and boom, zoom up there.
When we have the full thing in operation, that would be the idea. Is you fly into LAX, and
how close to LAX would it be?
That I don't know.
Okay. Within striking distance?
Within striking distance, yes.
Yeah, so it's an easy jaunt, maybe.
Right.
It would be.
Right.
Yeah, hopefully, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. The other thing is this job fair tomorrow. I want to talk a little bit about this. We have a lot of time left and a lot of ground to cover. The job fair is at Madera Community College. Starts at 8:30 in the morning. You can, I guess they can call that number down there, right? 445-5126?
That's correct.
Okay, and RSVP. So this is for people to apply for jobs at this time? This is what the job fair is for?
This would be to put potential employees in contact with potential employers.
Okay, so this isn't a place where they're going to go and get hired immediately. They're going to do the point of this meeting is to put them in contact with those in charge of hiring.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
And it goes for how long? It starts at 8:30.
It's 8:30, 9 to noon is when the event will be in place.
So you got to go sign in. I would imagine bring your resume.
Correct.
Bring whatever identification you have and everything else. Okay. We got to take a break here. We're talking with Terry Ogle. A lot more ground to cover. Talking about high-speed rail. He's the project manager for the Central Valley. We'll ask him how things are going to get this project underway and on the ground here in Fresno. Back in just a moment.
Ladies' Night was started in his honor. Barstools pulled themselves out for him. The only thing Chuck Norris is afraid of is her. Cheers is the most memorable bar in the world. You may not always watch comedy, but when you do, watch Cheers.
MeTV Fresno, channel 43.6 and Xfinity 187.
Back here on the program talking with High Speed Rail Authority. His name is Terry Ogle, project manager for the Central Valley. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Question, please.
It's not a question. It's a statement. I believe illegals are going to get all the jobs, and that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I don't know how you comment off that, but we don't know who's going to get the jobs at this point.
That's correct. We don't know. People have to come in. Employees have to work through the unions for these temporary construction jobs while the construction is going on. And there's a number of unions in the Fresno area, in the Central Valley area, that will put those people on their list and to work.
Right. Hey, listen, Terry, I know you're not an economics guru, but you are the project manager. And I'll just ask you, Governor Brown has made this almost like the centerpiece of California's economic recovery. You believe that's true? You think it'll help us get out of our economic doldrums?
I think, and if you look at some of the past times where they've tried to stimulate the economy, infrastructure projects are the things that help stimulate the economy because your dollars are spent multiple times. And if you look at the high-speed rail project of what's going on here in the Fresno area, what's going on here in the Central Valley, the Central Valley has a higher unemployment rate than what probably is the statewide average. And so when you bring an infrastructure project in, and you bring an infrastructure project in of this magnitude, that pumps a number of dollars into the local economy, and those local economies, that dollar is going to be spent on a multiple times.
Yeah, I just wonder how much that'll bring the figure down on the unemployment rate. I think it's like 15% here in the Central Valley, something in that range.
Right.
It's probably not exact,
right,
but it's close.
Right, and it is higher than the statewide average, the Central Valley.
Way higher,
right.
Yeah. Okay, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Okay, this is a statement against your last caller. I mean, it was too childish. You have a state-of-the-art project that is going at the best technology on the face of the planet. Do you think that these great people working in high-speed rail would seriously hire somebody that was still using crayons? Let's get real. They will hire. I went to one of the job fairs with Tudor. Tudor said everybody will be screened, and we only hire the qualified people. And you, to be working on the train, it is up to you as the individual to be qualified to work on the train. Do not put somebody on the train that is still hammering nails when we need somebody that knows how to use a plasma arc. And this childish mentality of people to saying, well, the illegals are going to get it. Those people would still have us riding on dirt roads behind a horse and a buckboard. And we need to stop this kind of thinking, and let's move into the future. This is California. We will build this project, and this is how we will earn our way into prosperity.
Okay. Well, that's one man's opinion. Of course, there are many others out there, of course. And so what will the criteria be for hiring? Do you have any kind of ledger that you can go by? I mean, I guess it depends on the position, whether you're a conductor or whether you're in construction, or what kind of experience you're going to have to you're going to have to prove your prior experience in what?
Well, we're looking at two different things. We're looking at first of all what we've been talking about so far is the construction aspect of the project, and so that is an immediate need, and that is immediate jobs that are coming to the area, and those are people like equipment operators, they're laborers, they are carpenters to build false work and forms for bridges, they are teamsters, they are electricians. Those are the folks that will build this facility. And then after that, we'll get into conductors, people that are on the ticket counters, those type of things. And we haven't really looked at that yet.
Caller, your question, please. You're on the air. Caller, hey, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead. You're on the air.
Yes, my concern is. Hello.
You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes. My concern is the fact of what is the price of a ticket from the south to the north of California? Will it only be for the elite, or will the average person be able to afford to step on the thing?
Great question. Go ahead, Terry.
That is a great question, and caller, I may not have the exact numbers for you, but we are looking at this being affordable to the ridership, and unfortunately I don't have the cost of what a ticket would cost. I believe a ticket from LA to San Francisco, the numbers that I've heard, is going to be right about $100 one way from LA to San Francisco. So if round trip, you're probably looking at about $200 round trip for LA to San Francisco. So, but I don't have the exact figures of what we've been looking at in our studies.
And that
at this
might
point.
be close to the cost that it actually would cost you if you drove a car there, because if you drove up and drove back, you're going to have to fill your tank, and depending on what size vehicle you have, plus you're going to stop and eat, and so it might not be quite $200 to take your car, but it'll be over $100.
Right, and we're talking about today's gas prices, but we're looking at the high-speed rail is being operational in 2029. Our full build-out is 2029, and so it's a forecast of what gas prices are going to cost in 2029. The build-out here in the Central Valley is 2018, 2019, and so it's a forecast of what the price would be at that
All right,
time.
we got to take a break here, but we're going to come back, and I'm going to ask you some of these questions about, some of the negative publicity that you guys have gotten here in the press, and we'll talk about that and the building of some of these projects that have been stalled a little bit. Terry Ogle is our guest here. Glad to have him along from the High-Speed Rail Authority, the project manager for the Central Valley. Hey, 436-ME-TV option 11 if you want to join us here on the program. Got about a half hour left or a little more. Back in just a moment.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Hey, it's Ask an Expert Expert Day here on Connect with me on Comcast 187.43.6. We're glad to have Terry Ogle here from the High Speed Rail Authority, project manager for the Central Valley. And I do want to roll some videotape now, Terry, and talk a little bit about a building that went down not too long ago, earlier this year. Not all that long ago, though. It was the Del Monte building right here in the city of Fresno. Courtesy, hey, this video courtesy of our friends over at the Fresno Bee. And we actually have some friends over there. They're pretty nice people, by the way, Terry. Anyway, the demolition here, the Del Monte building coming down. So let me ask you about this, because I've read some stuff online. Now, I don't know how, this is an article that I took off the internet. It says 6 years after the California High-Speed Rail Authority was approved by the California legislature, just 7% of the estimated 1,100 pieces of property needed for the first leg to travel 130 miles has been acquired. At this rate, it'll take another 80 years before construction can start. I was a little flabbergasted when I read that. 80 years. Is that not true?
If we're talking about the what we call right-of-way acquisition, and no, that's not true. And what we would be looking at is we have just started, probably within the last 6 to 8 months, acquiring property for that number that you gave, that 1,000 pieces, and that's for the whole entire. For the whole entire valley.
That's for the entire Central Valley is 1,100 parcels, right?
Right.
Okay,
right.
And out of those, you've only acquired about 106 right now.
That's correct.
Give or take a few.
Give or take, and that's on the what we would call our CP1 alignment, which is the first phase of our project from Madera to Fresno. That we've acquired those 100 parcels. As you move further south, we just got environmental clearance for the Fresno to Bakersfield section back in May, and one of the requirements for purchasing right-of-way on a federally funded project is you cannot go out and purchase right-of-way until you have environmental clearance. And so nothing from Fresno to Bakersfield was able to be purchased until after we had environmental clearance. And so now we are ramping up to begin not only purchasing what we call from the Fresno CP1 from Fresno to Merced or Madera, but we're also looking at ramping up and starting the acquisition from Fresno to Bakersfield.
Okay, so that hasn't started yet because you just got the environmental clearance, right?
We've started some. How
many acquisitions do you have from between here and Bakersfield?
We may have a handful.
Okay.
And the reason is everything with the federal process, right away you have to do an appraisal of the property. You have to give the property owner an offer. If the offer is not in line with what the property owner thought that their property was worth, then we do some negotiation. Maybe there's something that the appraiser missed. We have to go back out there and.
Can they go to mediation someplace?
We can go to mediation. Not very many of them have gone to mediation. Usually there's something in the appraisal that the appraiser did not know, and the property owner brings it to their attention. They go out and look at whatever that item was, and a new appraisal is done, and we try to negotiate with the property owners to get the property.
How many parcels are you looking at acquiring between here and Bakersfield?
From here in Bakersfield, it's about 500. So 300 on Madera to Fresno, 500 from Fresno to the Kings Tulare County line, and then the remainder of your figure, whatever that would be, 200, 250, right, would be that last piece going from in the Kern County area.
And that's what makes up these 1,100 pieces that the article was talking about.
That's correct.
It goes from Madera through Fresno down to Kings County, all the way to into Bakersfield.
Into Bakersfield. The alignment stops 1 mile north of 7th Standard Road in Kern County.
Okay. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead. Whoops, you were on the air. 436-ME-TV option 11, an open line, talking to Terry Ogle, High Speed Rail Authority. And so why has it been so difficult to acquire these parcels? Is it part of it, like we talked about, the environmental impact report, has that stalled it? Have these property owners been resistant? Have they filed lawsuits? Is it all of the above?
Part of it is a lot of the above. I think what we have seen is once we now have gotten the offers out, we've done the appraisals, we've made the offers to the property owners in the Fresno to Madera, the Madera section.
Yeah.
We have seen a pretty positive response from property owners that have been willing to sell their property. There may be issues or items or things that we have to work out with them, but we have seen a pretty positive response.
Have you taken over any properties through eminent domain?
We have gone through the eminent domain process to acquire property, and one of the things that there's this kind of myth or this misunderstanding about eminent domain that the state has the right to come in and just take a piece of property from a property owner. We have to show that there is a need. Once we do determine that there is a need, money is deposited into an escrow account, and for what fair market value is for that property as we go through that process. And usually most of those cases are really about the compensation part of the right of way. The property owner thinks their property is worth this much, and the authority has praised it at this much, and there's a difference in that price.
I mean, I'm sure you've held town hall meetings, right?
Correct.
Where people are negative and they don't like the project. They think it's too costly. My God, where are we going to get all this money from the federal government? And the bonds here in California are what, 8 to 10 billion, I believe?
6 to 8 billion.
6 to 8 billion.
Right.
Okay. How do you answer those questions? Is it too costly, and you're moving people off their properties, and it's not right to take over farmland, and so on and so on and so on? So I'm sure you have answered some of these critics.
Right. And what I would say is the 6 to 8 billion, that was never going to be enough money to build the high-speed rail. That was amount that the bonds voted to get us started.
Yeah, what did we vote on in 2008? What was that vote about?
We voted to sell bonds to build a high-speed rail from LA to San Francisco. But that figure was never going to build an entire system. We were always going to need some sort of additional funding. And
it was from the federal government, right?
Well, we're looking at a number of different options. The federal government has come through with about $3.3 billion. Cap and trade, which Governor Brown signed in the legislature and became law July of this year, gave us a $250 million of cap and trade dollars. We're also looking at private industry, private companies investing in the high-speed rail. And I think once private industry, private companies see that the train is moving, that progress is making, that construction is happening, I see that companies are going to come on board. And there's funding called private partnerships, where private companies fund projects.
Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, I understand that the design for the high-speed rail is looking down 100 years down into the future. How did was that addressed in the environmental review? Because technology changes may make the rail system obsolete for what you're planning to do. That's it.
Okay.
Obviously, right now, the high-speed rail is state of the art, and we're looking at being the contender nationwide, if not worldwide, of providing the most state of the art high-speed rail facility in the world. And we look out more than likely 20 to 30 years is what we look out. But 100 years from now would be almost impossible to kind of forecast what we would be looking at, what type of transportation systems would even be available 100 years from now. But we are looking out 20 to 30 years to facilitate that. We're also looking or hoping that within 20 to 30 years that the high-speed rail is not just in California, but it's a nationwide type program, that there's high-speed rail throughout the whole entire U.S.
Yeah, that's going to be a costly proposition. Let's worry about getting this one done first and see what happens from there. But what's your best educated guess right now when this thing is going to be complete? And we got to take a break here in a minute or so, but I want to talk about what's, on the other side, what's happening now, what part of that line is being worked on now, because you're the project manager here. But the whole system, if you were to take a wild guess, when do you think it'll be done?
The whole system from LA to San Francisco, our forecast, our projection right now is by 2029, we will have the system up and operational.
Yeah. And I'm sure you're hoping that there won't be too much opposition to that, because there could be politicians that try to stop it, lawsuits that you can't forecast, right?
Right.
Could that happen?
Anything is possible. I believe we've gained a lot of momentum. We've worked through some of the lawsuits that we've had regarding the bond sales. We've worked through some of those issues, and so I see that we have a tremendous amount of momentum behind us. I didn't mention this when we talked about earlier, but there are some benefits to high-speed rail that over the next 20 to 30 years, it's going to be more difficult to drive a car in the state of California just because of the projected population growth in the state of California. And we're looking at being 50 million people by 2050. And those people are going to drive cars. If you look at our infrastructure that we have now on Route 99, I-5 in Southern California with the interstate system down there, is that if you get that many people and that many cars on the road, the infrastructure that we have right now, talking highways, it's not going to be able to handle that population demand. And so there's got to be some other form of transportation, and we feel that form of transportation is going to be high-speed rail. You also don't see people building new airports. When's the last time that you saw somebody actually build a new airport? They're usually modifying or updating their existing airport, and so you're not going to see probably many new airports being built within that same time frame. So you've got probably some limitations by what you're going to do with air travel, and you're going to have some limitations by what you do by automobile travel. And those are going to be some things that go, okay, now we need to look at some form of alternate transportation, which is going to be the high-speed rail.
Terry Ogle is here from the High-Speed Rail Authority, project manager for the Central Valley. We got time left, about 18 minutes left. 436-MeTV option 11. Back with our program here on Connect with Me today in a moment.
It's almost time. Now we'll find out once and for all about Clark Kent and Superman.
Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a TV show.
Yes, but who is he? What's his name?
He's Superman.
Golly, Clark, won't that be wonderful seeing Superman
fighting a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and television the MeTV way.
No one can do the things that Superman does.
The Adventures of Superman.
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
Yeah, we're back here on the program talking to Terry Ogle. He is from the High-Speed Rail Authority. Hey, let me ask you something before I get into what's going on here in the Central Valley with some of this construction. We have other video to show. I just want to read you something that Kevin McCarthy said. He's from Bakersfield. He's the House Majority Leader. He talked about he's voicing concerns about the cost and the viability of the project. And he basically called the state's plan, the entire plan, the network for building this project, deeply flawed. What do you think he means by that? Deeply flawed in what way, I wonder? Would it be the cost, the construction?
I can't. I guess I can't second guess what Kevin McCarthy means by that. As I mentioned earlier, we have an estimate that you mentioned earlier of $68 billion.
Yeah, let's put that up on the screen here so people can see that full screen of what the cost is going to be. Go ahead, Terry.
So it's about $68 billion. we have currently funding. We have about $3.3 billion from the federal grant. We have about another $6 to $8 billion from the bond sales, and then we have about $250 million that we get from cap and trade. So you add all that together, and we've got about about 10 to 12 billion dollars right now. And so if you look at those figures and you look at that 68 million. Where is billion? Where is the other money coming from?
Dan Richard, the chair of the California High-Speed Rail Authority, shot back after Kevin McCarthy made those comments, and he basically said the economic stimulus for the Central Valley is going to be enormous. And he basically went on to tout the project as being a positive one, coming from the federal and state grants, cap and trade funds like you mentioned. Let's get into more of this video. I know that the Del Monte building, and we have some more video that we shot of that building coming down. We'll take a look at that now. And while we do, what is going on here in the Central Valley? This building recently came down, but I want to know specifically the construction that's happening now. Is it between here and Madera? Is it just here in Fresno? Is some going on in Madera, or what?
Okay.
What's going on right now? And where?
I need to explain a little bit of our procurement packages of how we hire or how we work with a contractor on our projects. We issue what we call a design build project or procurement method, and that's new to California. It's new to the state type of system. But what a design build does is we get a set of plans from 15%, and the design builder takes that over. They bid on it, and they take that over, and then they design the rest of it from 15% to 100%.
I understand, but like this building here that went down, why did that building come down? What part of the project is that?
This building is part of the right-of-way. This building is in the area where the tracks will be laid, where the station will be built.
There'll also be a station there?
There will also be a station downtown Fresno in this area. And so they're basically taking this building down because this is where high-speed rail is going to come through. So this is the demolition part of the high-speed rail. So we've got to get the buildings and houses and trees and things out of the way, and farms, and what we can get out of our way so that we can build the project. This Del Monte building was one that was vacant. It was then set on fire by
some
vagrants or homeless that were living in it. They had some asbestos that was in there that had to.
You okay?
Excuse me.
Okay, no problem.
I get choked up talking about it.
Yeah, I know.
So that they had to deal with before they could get it down.
Yeah, so how do you deal with an asbestos situation? I'm sure that's very common here in the Central Valley with some of those older buildings that are just, decades old.
Again, there's a process that they go through. This building would have been identified as a potential building to have asbestos in it.
And hazard.
And a hazard.
Yeah.
And so there's a plan that's developed. And so they have a plan for how to deal with it. So once it's encountered, you bring in a contractor that has experience with dealing with hazardous material, with asbestos. They come in, execute their plan, remove the asbestos, and then the rest of the building comes down.
Okay, so is it safe to say, and we can run some more video here, I don't know what we want to show, but pick anything, Lauren, that you want there. We got plenty of video, including the animation, as I said. So right now, where the project stands, and this is aerial footage of Fresno here. I believe this is, what part of Fresno is this? Highway 99. And so will this project go adjacent to Highway 99?
And a portion of it between Ashland Avenue and Clinton Avenue along 99.
That's a small portion.
That's a small portion that will parallel 99.
All right, stay on this video here. Interesting. Caller, what's your question? You're on the air.
Hello, yes. I was wondering what a student would need to study to land a job on the project.
Well,
could you repeat the question again?
Yeah, I was wondering what a student would need to study to land a job on the project.
obviously he's a student, probably at Fresno State or maybe
Right,
Fresno City,
right.
so he wants to know what he should be learning in school to land a job with High-Speed Rail Authority.
What I would say, you know, any engineering would be one of the things that you would look at. Anywhere where you had accounting or some sort of business thing, that would get you maybe a job with the high-speed rail or with the consultants that we hire to do our work for
Hey,
us.
we saw that great aerial footage there near 99, so you said a portion of it will run adjacent to Highway 99. Now, how much of it will cut through downtown Fresno?
The alignment parallels the Union Pacific Railroad, and the Union Pacific Railroad is the railroad that parallels 99 and runs here through the west side of the town.
What portion? The west side of town?
It's the west side of town. It's the it parallels 99, and as it comes through, it's just to the west of the baseball stadium.
Okay.
That's downtown. So it'll run parallel to 99, parallel to Golden State as it comes through town, and parallel down in the downtown area through.
It won't cut through downtown, but it'll parallel downtown.
It'll parallel the railroad tracks
Right.
that run downtown.
Right. Okay, we got to take a break. We'll let you catch your breath here just
Okay.
for a moment and talk more about what's going on now. 436 MeTV option 11. By the way, don't forget that job fair that takes place tomorrow at Madera Community College starting at 8:30 in the morning. So if you want to get hired by the High-Speed Rail Authority, show up there tomorrow. 436 MeTV option 11. Back in a moment.
A top secret location. It's the spies who love me, bringing together MeTV's top super spies to fight evil at a memorable moment's notice. They're daring. That's right. Brave.
Now what are we gonna do?
The best we can.
Suave.
Does that apply to me, Oscar?
Possibly.
And smart.
The old finger in the gun trick.
Maxwell Smart.
MeTV Fresno, channel 43.6 and Xfinity 187.
The Ballad of Andy and Barney. Andy and Barney were lawmen, bravest you ever did see. Warned every crook in the record book to stay out of Mayberry. They were the law.
Yes, they were the law, and they didn't know fear.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I guess to sum it up, you could say there's three reasons why there's so little crime in Mayberry. There's Andy, and there's me, and baby makes three.
Now on MeTV Fresno.
Back here with Terry Ogle from the High-Speed Rail Authority. So what's going on now in construction and where?
Construction, we're about to start in the Madera area. We've been doing a test pile up in the around the Fresno River, which is right along the Highway 145, just east of Madera, and we have to build a viaduct over the Fresno River, over the Highway 145, and over some canals there. It looks like that will be the area that we start with first, building that viaduct.
How soon?
I would say by February we would be working up there.
Caller, what's your question? You're on the air. Caller?
I was. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was wondering about small business opportunities for local businesses with high-speed rail. Do you guys have any upcoming workshops or any programs available?
Yes, we do, and we also have a small business program that that's part of our contract. Each of our design builders have to be part of this small business program that we have in effect. And so it would be just one of the things would be, I'd encourage you to reach out to our contractor. Our first one is Tudor Perini, Zachary Parsons, which has an office here in Fresno. The other one, we're going through the procurement right now to secure another design builder for the next phase. But yes, there is definitely opportunity for small business. One of the things that I would mention, in order to, for a small business, you need to be certified as a small business with the state of California, and there's a certification process that you can go through. And there are some helps that we can provide for you. This job fair that we mentioned, that's going to happen tomorrow, that'd be maybe a great place to come and talk to some of the HighSpeed Rail folks and get some information about that.
Yeah, okay, and tomorrow's the meeting at Madera Community College, 8:30 in the morning if you want to go there. Okay, so the first track will be laid in Madera, right? Is that true?
The first infrastructure will be built in Madera,
and that'll start in February. Where will the first track be set down?
A little bit about our project, a little bit about our program is we're building the infrastructure from Madera to Bakersfield, and that's what we call our construction packages 1, 2, 3, and 4.
So it's going to go from, you're going to start in Madera,
right,
move your way down through Fresno, as we talked about, adjacent to or parallel to downtown,
right,
move through there and then on down to Bakersfield. And so that you have to start the project there, and that starts in February. How long will it take to get down to Bakersfield? How many months? How many years?
We're looking at 2019.
2019. Okay. When will the first track go down?
There'll be a separate contract that is released, probably once CP1, which is the project here in Fresno, that is being built. There'll be a separate contract that comes out to put the track down, plus all of the electrical, the poles, and the ancillary facilities.
Right. So we don't know when the tracks are going to go down yet. I mean, sometime after 2019?
It will be before 2019, because 2019 is when the system in the Central Valley will be operating.
So it'll be maybe the first track will go down in a couple of years?
Somewhere like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. We only got a couple of minutes left. Let's roll a videotape of that bullet train. I want to see that animation again. I like that. Take any one you want. And I want to ask you, first of all, these companies that come in, the contractors, do they have to go up for bid?
Correct.
Okay. That's the process. All right.
Correct.
Now, let's talk about security. We all are worried about terrorism these days. We're worried about ISIS coming over here and terrorizing us, maybe blowing a few things up. You know, that's what we're worried about. I mean, let's be honest about it. How do you secure so many miles of track and the trains and the stations? How can you guarantee the public that they're going to be safe once this system is built?
Well, the entire right-of-way will be fenced by a property or security fence. And
how high will that fence be?
The fence will be 6 to 8 feet high, but it will be a security fence, and it will be patrolled.
It will be. By who?
By HighSpeed Rail security folks.
Okay.
That, you know, we haven't got the thing built yet, but
it won't be the military.
It won't be the military.
Okay.
And one of the things that we're doing right now is we're reaching out to all of the emergency responders right now. We have monthly meetings with all of the emergency responders in the Central Valley.
Are you in contact with Homeland Security?
Homeland Security is part of that. Is part of that thing, and so we go up and down the valley: Merced, Madera, Fresno, Kings, Tulare County, Kern County, to start discussing security matters, safety matters, emergency response throughout the whole entire valley.
Okay, we got to go. But Terry, I hope you come back. Maybe come back sometime in January, February. Kind of give us an update if that's possible. You want to do that?
Yeah, that would be super. I've enjoyed my time.
Yeah, give us an update on what's going on there with the construction there, starting in Madera. In 2015. Got to go. Going to be cut off. Terry?
All right.
All right. Terry Ogle, HighSpeed Rail Authority, the project manager here for the Central Valley. Look forward to his reappearance here on the program. Tomorrow, Esmeralda Soraya, the winner in Council District 1. Tomorrow on the program. See you then. Have a great day.
All right.
Oh, we're still on camera.